I actually never thought I would talk about this on YouTube, but I kind of thought about it, and then I was like, maybe it could help someone else out there who feels the way I felt back when this happened to me. But it is actually as serious as the title suggests, what I'm about to tell you. But when I was I did want to put pictures up of what I have from back then, but I have asked my family if they had pictures from all this I'm about to tell you, and they basically said they don't, or it would be very, very hard to gather them because they have pictures on the old phones. But this what I'm about to tell you happened when I was like 9 or 10, and I'm 23 now, so we have all switched phones a lot of time after that. So I don't really. Oh, my hair is shit. So I don't really fault them for not having pictures of it, but I can sadly not show pictures, and I don't feel like we have that many of it because it was a very serious period. But let's get into it. When I was very, very young, very, very young, we're talking like 3-4 years old, I was very, very active, and I have been very active up until where I am today. In terms of playing football, I have been playing football for well over 10 years. I don't do it anymore, but I played football for a long time, as quickly as I could start to it, and then for a long, long time. And I was always very, very active in school and in my free time, stuff like that. And it was all well and good, but for the first couple of years of my life, I had something always going on after I have been active, whatever it was in school or after a football game. It particularly always happened after football games. Not that much after training, but almost always after football matches, like games. Basically what happens was I basically got these kind of, I don't know if you call it like a seizure or a episode where I could not breathe. I couldn't talk because I physically couldn't breathe out of my lungs. I had to sit with my head down in the table. I had to do this in the middle of school. Everybody knew I had this because I've had it for a couple of years at this point. I was like 9, went to 4th grade here in Denmark, so maybe that's a bit from where you're from, it's a bit different, but I was about 9 or 10 or something like that, 8 maybe. Something around these ages. And I basically got these episodes where I couldn't breathe, I couldn't talk, my head was spinning, like I couldn't look out of my eyes. It was like everything blacked out. And I had this for years, and it happened almost every time I was active afterwards. Like it happened a few minutes afterwards, and then my heart just started going, pumping. I couldn't do anything about it. And we, at this point, have been to the doctor a lot of times. We went to the doctor again and told him, we have basically up to this point have been told that maybe I can't tolerate chlorine because they thought about the water I was bathing in when I was at the football games and stuff, maybe had chlorine in it. So maybe I couldn't tolerate that, so that's why it happens. But then we talked about it in terms of school, and they were like, they couldn't really explain it to us. And I remember for a while, like years, when we went to the doctor, we didn't go to the doctor a lot, and that's on us and the family. But I think we just said, we took what they told us it was and just ran with it because we don't know better than they do. So for a long time, we just believed in them. So that's kind of the fact why I had what I had for so many years. But it kind of kept on happening outside of where there was chlorine and stuff, and my parents kind of had enough at this point. So I went to the doctor and we said, listen, there's literally something wrong with his heart and something in him. There's something wrong. And of course, since it's with the heart, my parents were very, 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 very scared for me and wanted this to be sorted in any way possible. We got to the doctor, and I basically got this thing strapped to me, like with cords and everything that could, like, throughout the day it would take my heart beating. So I strictly remember getting this on like one day, then having it on that day, like I got it on in the morning, going to school, and basically the whole idea was that I basically had to get one of those episodes again, and I got them so frequently, I can't not even tell you. I had to get one of those episodes again so the thingy could see, track that, and we could give it over to the doctors at the hospital or wherever it was, and they could look at the numbers and be like, okay, so this is what happened. So I got it on, went to school, I got an episode, and the thing was tracking it, and we put it back, and we gave it back because I already had an episode. And then, literally the next day, I get a call while I'm in school from my mom, and I'm not that old, remember? And I just get told, of course, this is all in Danish, but I'm gonna translate it because then the video would be ruined if I didn't. But then I kind of got a message or a call from my mom, and she just said, "We are coming to get you. The doctors need you now. Like, we gotta go now." And this was crazy back then, of course, it would be now. It's always crazy, being rang up and being like, the doctors have said that you need to come to the hospital now. So basically, we get to the hospital, and it's all very serious for a moment, because we basically learn that, and you gotta understand, I am taking this well out of what I remember. And the reason I'm telling you all this is because if you are in a similar situation where you try this over and over again and stuff like that, you should really go see a doctor, because I'm about to tell you, yeah. But I'm gonna say I'm not a doctor, and I'm taking all this from memory, so this is very hard to explain, and there's a lot more to it than I'm gonna explain. But basically, I'm gonna explain it as if I am and you are a child, because I can't remember that. Basically, we have small kind of things that pumps blood up to our hearts, and I had one extra of those things that pumped blood up to my heart. So when I did something active or even not active, my heart was always pumping double the amount of a normal heart. So if I was out playing with 4 friends and their heart pumped at a particular number, I don't know what it is, maybe we just say 100, my heart would pump at 200. And that sounds like insane, because it absolutely is. My heart was pumping double every single time. So that is why I got these very, very long episodes where I couldn't breathe, because my heart was like, when you say your heart is beating out of your chest, my heart was literally almost pumping through my shirt. It was crazy when it happened. So basically, we got told that, and my parents, I didn't get told this, my parents actually got told privately by the doctor that I could have died every single time I had one of those episodes. I could have died, because that is how your heart works. Your heart can stop from that. Your heart is beating way too much than it normally should or likes to do. So my heart, I could have died every single one of those times, and that was very hard for my parents to hear. And that is basically, that's bad. That's basically the reason I want to tell you this, because I want you guys to go get it checked out before that happens to maybe some of you out there. But on with the story. I then had to get a surgery that same day, I believe, or maybe the day after, because of the times, of course. And there was also, I think, 2 before me who had the exact same thing. And that's also because I'm making these videos, because it's a very, can't remember what the exactly the syndrome is called, or the disease, or what it is called. But basically, it's very, very, a lot of people have it without knowing. So please go get it checked out if you have any, like if you get dizzy after you do something, or you just really can't breathe. For me, it was obvious, because I couldn't talk. I had to really sit with my head down like this, and you could see on me how much I hated my life when that happened. So yeah, but I had to go in, and they went through my, what is the little area between your crotch and your thigh, that little area in between. They cut like 2 very, 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 very small. I was, of course, sleeping on full, like I wasn't there for any of this, but 2 very, very small holes, and they went in with small, tiny like things, and basically burned out the extra thing I had, like the extra thing pumping blood to my heart. And since that day, I have been I've never had it since, which I find to be it's astonishing. And I, of course, go to the gym, I still play football, I'm still active, I run, I do all this stuff, and I've never had it since. And there's not that much to the story, but I didn't want it is a long video already, but I didn't want it to be that long. The reason I'm telling you is just because if you got any of this, please get it checked out. It is serious, and everybody can have it. I think I am always susceptible, or what you can say. Like I find myself sometimes being in a space or a headspace where I feel like things cannot happen to me. When you see something happen to someone else, you are quick to be like, yeah, okay, that's very bad, but that cannot happen to me. So yeah, but this happened to me, and this was real life, and it can be real life for you too. So if you're out there and you just have something going on with your body that really does feel off, and this was very, very off, but even if it's not that much off, just get it checked out. And basically, ever since my parents got told that I could have died of this, it has always been very serious to me, because I was like, whoa, imagine if I actually did die from that. It would. And I've also thought about the whole fact of maybe when I get a kid one day, maybe I would just have to get it checked out early doors if I have that too, because of course no one wants to lose their child. So this was very serious. It happened 15 years ago, if I'm right, like 16 if I was actually 9. I'm 23 now, so that's maybe a little bit too much, but it happened well over 10 years ago. So I'm just fine with it now. I've not had it for over 10 years, way like longer, and it's all good now. But please get it checked out, something like that, because it can be serious even if you think it isn't. We went with what the doctor said for a long time before we actually start like doubling down. And this also, I respect all doctors in the world, but I think this story also tells you that sometimes just go with your gut in terms of believing. I would always believe what a doctor's saying, but if they say it's something with chlorine, as they told me, and it still happens when I'm not near any chlorine or something like that, you gotta double down and be like, listen, it's not that, please help me out. So we did that, and that was kind of the time when I was a child where I actually could have died, like, which is pretty insane. So that's a little story time. I hope none of you of course has this, but I hope it kind of opened your eyes to, if you maybe experience something like that, to get it checked out, because I think you should. I hope it helps someone out there knowing this, because that's the only reason I kind of made this video. So yeah, see you in another little more funnier or video next time, and yeah, have a very good day when you're seeing this. Bye bye.